Hi, my name is Shawnee Shea, and I'm going to talk about some of the concepts and ideas that we learned about this week, and kind of give my opinion and where I see how that can affect and help research and some of the questions it inspired in me. So, some of the ideas that were introduced this week were different types of segregation, the criminalization of blacks through the schooling system, the fact that we are still very segregated. What I surmise is that Latinos are black, not white. How to appease academic white supremacy through research methodology. And we'll get into more of these concepts as I explain. But I want to offer a little bit of background information about myself. I am self-identified as a black female. I have been incarcerated before. Most of my family members have been to jail. I do work with the juvenile hall, so sometimes it feels as though in my UC Berkeley classes that I'm being slapped over the head with a life experience and having to be taught about it. So I apologize if I'm ever just a little, if I seem a little curt, because some of the things that we read about, for me, I've had to live through, and I see a lot of people living and struggling through on a daily basis. So the information sometimes it's hard. So de facto versus de jure segregation, I actually didn't know that terminology. So talking about de facto, the left, I have someone who is a police getting ready to stomp on a black person's head. And then here on the right, there is the Proud Boys who almost killed a black man a few years ago when they were having alt-white protest. And so that is a de facto versus de jure, one by the police and one by citizens. Next, I have school to prison pipeline, aka black to prison pipeline. We did talk about children starting to be disciplined in K2 and how that leads them into getting, set up for jail and prison. However, I believe that once you identify someone as black, you accept them up for jail or prison. So I just said that it's real and it's horrible. And the reason that at Berkeley High there's more black and brown students with disciplinary action is because the school is preparing them for jail. And I really, really, truly believe that because most teachers don't come from the communities they teach, they have no idea how to deal with the children at all. The larger society is placing blame on the students for their inability to meet the needs of the students, which I think is a huge issue. And somehow black and brown students just cannot be helped any other way than through expulsion and discipline, which is a fallacy. Why integration hasn't worked. And I think Orville mentioned this in his in his interview, but people still need housing, they still need jobs, they still need to be safe, and they still need to be respected. We still need health care, and most importantly, we need freedom. And as you can see, this is what people have right now. Maestas. The Maestas case for me was really beautiful. I really liked to just hear about the way that basically Latinos and Mexican Americans get treated like the new black people or black people in general. And it just touched my heart because it's important that we recognize that white supremacy is about white supremacy and nothing more, and that no one is safe in a society that upholds white supremacy. So I have here that Mexicans are white, so they can't be discriminated against. And then I just kind of go into all of the ways that it just doesn't make sense. Mexicans are not white, but they're not black, but they still can't go to school with whites, but they can go to school with blacks, but whites can go to school with blacks. And so if you just read over these bullet points, you'll see that it doesn't make sense. And so at the bottom, I just have my head hurts because racism, literally, and white supremacy not only ruins my life, but it makes my head hurt. And for me, the conclusion and the questions that I would ask and how this would inform my research, what is the importance of research, I would say, if it invalidates someone's real experience, right? So we are still as segregated as ever. Black and brown people are plundered so that white supremacists can thrive. If you cannot accept that your privilege is based on my demise, then so be it. However, contradicting beliefs do not change the data. Still, whatever the data is, it would not change my experience. We cannot rely on white supremacist methods to afford us any wisdom or freedom. Why test what is real? What research method can test the effects of watching your loved ones murdered in the streets? What measures of internal validity is needed to substantiate the experience of children put into jail cells and then raped by American prison guards? What is the independent variable of a teenager being expelled from school and then expelled from life? How do we collect data on the millions of dead black bodies and remove the word black from in front of the word bodies so that the bodies will be recognized as human? How do we turn black and brown people into humans?